Hello, good evening, God bless you. How's everyone doing tonight? Well, it's been a while since my last video. Unfortunately, I need to do a better job of making videos more consistently, but a lot has happened since my last video, a lot of good. I have begun to speak at the River's Edge Ranch in Lucerne Valley, California. And for those of you who know, my father used to speak at the River's Edge Ranch at his last year of life in 2019. So for those of you who know me and my family, you know how much the River's Edge Ranch means to us as a family because of how much it meant to my father. My father, for those of you who knew my father, who watched these videos and watch my channel, you know my father and his heart. He had a heart for men. He loved to disciple men, and that was his calling, that was his place, that was his position, that was his lane. That's what God had for him. He was never a pulpit preacher. He had done it, but he was never a pulpit preacher. He was a in the streets kind of preacher. He was there with the people, and he loved to disciple men. And the River's Edge Ranch, when he got turned on to the River's Edge Ranch and became aware of that, living up here in the high desert of California, him living in Apple Valley, it's just like a 30-minute drive from his house. He jumped all over the opportunity to speak there to the men, and he got my cousin Jesse, his nephew, into the ranch, and he's now a leader there. And my dad spoke there. My dad spoke at the ranch many times, and after he passed away, I knew that if God wanted me to end up at the ranch speaking, he'd make a way, and he did. At my father's celebration of life service in June, we had to wait like 4 months to celebrate his life because of the whole pandemic and church shutdowns and all that. But when we had my father's service in June, his celebration of life, men from the ranch came to honor my father. Men that he had spoken to there, men that he had discipled and ministered to, and they came to honor my father. And after the service, one of the leaders invited me and opened the door for me to take my father's place, I guess you can say, and continue on at the ranch in his name. And that was an answer to prayers. That was an answer to prayer. I would love for my father to be here. I would love to be going with him to the ranch and listening to him speak. But that wasn't God's plan. That wasn't God's plan. And God's plan, even when it's hard, even when it's difficult and it hurts, it's still greater than our plans. And as much as I'd love to have my father here with me still and be going with him to the ranch and listening to him, that wasn't God's plan. So now God has me at the ranch, and it's an honor, and I'm truly humbled by it and grateful for the opportunity. And tonight I want to share a little bit about what I spoke on there this past Monday. I've been going for the past 6 weeks every other Monday, and so far I've given 3 messages every other week. That's my slot every other Monday. Wish I can go more. I wish I can go every Monday. I wish I can go twice a week. I wish I can go a lot more, but life and work and other responsibilities, it makes it hard. So I'm grateful for the opportunity that I do have. And so far I've spoke on how we are God's original plan. That was my first message that I'm going to be end up doing here on YouTube. And then I spoke on how to be a man of God, which was one of my father's messages that I had on CD. And this past week I spoke on God's silence, when we feel like God is silent in our life. And that's something that my father spoke with me on a lot, because over the past 5 years, I felt like God's silence in my life, and there were times where I felt separated from God, and I was confused and I didn't know why. And my dad would speak to me about it a lot, and I spoke on it this past Monday. I'm not going to go into the whole message tonight. I will in another video, but tonight I just wanted to share one area of my message that I feel like God is telling me to share. Someone needs to hear it. I don't know who. Even if it's just one person, that's enough. So I'm going to share this tonight, this one area of my message that gave this past Monday on when it seems like God is silent in our life. So I'm going to be in Matthew chapter 15, and I'm going to be reading verses 21 through 28, and then I'm going to talk about it. And in my Bible, the heading says, "The Faith of a Canaanite Woman." I'm reading the MacArthur Study Bible, ESV, English Standard Version. And it says, "The Faith of a Canaanite Woman." And it says, "And Jesus went away from there, and withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and was crying, 'Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon.' But he did not answer her a word. And the disciples came and begged him, saying, 'Send her away, for she is crying out after us.' He answered, 'I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.' But she came and knelt before him, saying, 'Lord, help me.' And he answered, 'It is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs.' She said, 'Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table.' Then Jesus answered her, 'O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire.' And her daughter was healed instantly." Okay, so Jesus is there, and this woman, this Canaanite woman, she hears that Jesus is there, and she comes to him. "Have mercy on me, O Lord. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon." So she's asking for help. And how does Jesus respond? By not answering her a word. So I can imagine that it kind of went like this. Like she came in, "Have mercy on me, O Lord. My daughter is oppressed, severely oppressed by a demon," and he just ignored her. It says, "But he did not answer her a word." So it sounds to me like he just ignored her. I mean, we've all been there before, right? Where we ask someone something and they don't hear us, but everyone around heard us ask this person and they didn't respond, and it's awkward and embarrassing. So it must have been awkward, right? And then to make matters worse, it says after he doesn't answer her a word, his disciples came and begged him, saying, "Send her away, for she is crying out after us." So not only did he not answer, like ignored her, but now the disciples are saying, "Send her away, like she's bothering us." So that had to have felt pretty awkward, uncomfortable, embarrassing, humiliating. Then he answers. In verse 24, he answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." So basically what he's saying right there is, I'm not here for you. She is a Canaanite woman. She's a Gentile. And he was there for the Jews. He was there for the house of Israel at that time. So basically he is saying, I was not sent here for you. So it's not getting any better. He's saying, I'm not here for you. But she came and now knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." Verse 26, and he answers again, "It is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." And that sounds like an insult. That sounds like an insult, doesn't it? I mean, that's how it sounds to me. Is he calling her a dog? Now, back then, apparently the Jews would refer to the Gentiles as dogs. That was their way of like putting them down. But Jesus doesn't mean it as an insult. We're going to see how he's actually testing her faith. She said, verse 27, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Verse 28, then Jesus answered her, "O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire." And her daughter was healed instantly. So, first, he ignores her. He don't answer her word. Then the disciples say, send her away, she's bothering us. Then he says, I wasn't sent here for you. Then he says, it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. And after all that, she never backs down. She never gives up. She refuses to leave. She refuses to take it as an insult. She keeps on asking for help. You see, she says, have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon. And he don't answer her. And the disciples say, send her away. Then he answers and says, I was only sent for the lost sheep of Israel. I wasn't sent for you. But she came and knelt before him, saying, Lord, help me. And he answers, it is not right to take the bread and from the children and throw it to the dogs. And then she said, yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs from the master's table. And it's then that he says, O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire. And her daughter was instantly healed. If we go to Mark 7:24, it is the same story, just told a little differently. I'm going to read it real quick. It says, and from there he arose and went away to the region of Tyre and Sidon, and he entered a house and did not want anyone to know. Yet he could not be hidden. But immediately a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell down at his feet. Now the woman was a Gentile, a Syrophoenician by birth, meaning she was from Phoenicia. And she begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. And she said to her, he said to her, let the children be fed first, for it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. But she answered him and said, yes, Lord, yet even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. And he said to her, for this statement you may go your way. The demon has left your daughter. And she went home and found the child laying in bed, and the demon was gone. Her child wasn't even there. He didn't need to perform an exorcism. He didn't need there was no need for holy water. The child wasn't even there. Because of her faith, because of her statement, God answered her prayer. God answered what she was asking for. And what I get out of this passage is, sometimes it seems like we're asking God for this and we're asking God for that, and we have this great need. We have this great need, whatever it may be in all of our individual lives. We have this great need, and we're crying out to God, and it seems like He is not answering us a word. It seems like He's just ignoring us. But He's not. It's not that He's ignoring us. It's not that He's just not answering us. He's testing our faith. He's testing our faith like He was testing this Canaanite woman. Jesus was testing her faith, and because of her persistence, because of her perseverance, she would not quit. There was no quit in her. Everything, every negativity, all the negativity that was coming back to her, she did not take it that way. She didn't allow that to stop her. First, He don't answer her. He ignores her. Then the disciples say, send her away. She's annoying us. And then He answers and says, I wasn't sent here for you, only for the lost sheep of Israel. Then He says, it is not right to take the bread for the children. And He answered, it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. So that's the four things right there. And she just kept on responding because she had a great need. It says her daughter was severely oppressed with a demon. And in Mark 7:24 it says an unclean spirit. She had a great need, and she was refusing to walk away without first having her prayers answered. She was going to get what she came for. And she didn't take it as an insult, because she had a great need. And too many times we give up too easily. Most people would have gave up the second he didn't answer, because that would have been awkward, embarrassing, humiliating. You know, what if she would have just stopped right there? What if she would have just stopped right there and said, "Oh, well, you know, I asked, he didn't answer. You know, I tried. I guess my daughter, you know, is going to still be, you know, demon possessed. I tried," and she goes home. But no, she kept on going. She kept on asking, "Lord, help me." Falling at his knees, "Lord, help me." Yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the crumbs from the master's table. And it was because of her faith, because of her persistence, because of her perseverance, that she passed the test. Jesus was testing her faith. And I know from personal experience, many times it seems like God is not hearing. We've all been there. We've all been there. And it seems like we're asking God for this great need. We have this great need. God, help me. Help me. And it seems like he's silent. Like he's not helping you. Like he's not hearing you. He's not answering you a word. Like he didn't answer the Canaanite woman a word at first. And you're like, "Where are you, God? Where are you, God?" And we give up too easily. We give up way too easily. She didn't give up. And because of it, in Mark 7:24, I like how it says, he says, and he said to her, "For this statement you may go your way. The demon has left your daughter." And she went home and found the child laying in bed, and the demon was gone. So her child wasn't even there. There was no exorcism needed. There was no holy water. There was no process. They didn't need to make a big ordeal out of it. Her faith, it is done. It is done. The demon's gone. And she went home and the demon was gone. All because of her faith. We need to have that kind of faith, that kind of persistence, that kind of perseverance, that when it seems like God is not answering us, we just keep on asking and keep on believing and keep on trusting that God is going to answer our prayers when it's his time. Because we've all been there. We all feel like God isn't answering us a word. We've all been there. But he's testing us. He's testing our faith. Are we going to just give up? Or are we going to keep on? She kept on. And because of it, her prayers were answered. "Lord, help me." And he did. So I just wanted to share that with you guys tonight. That was just a passage. That was just a part of my message that I spoke the other night on God's apparent silence in our life, that I'm going to be doing another video on, doing a whole message. But I wanted to share that with someone tonight. I don't know who that's for, or who comes across this video down the road. But read that story, read that passage. Matthew 15:21 through 28. It's also in Mark 7 verse 24. The faith of a Canaanite woman, and how she wouldn't quit. She wouldn't quit. It seemed like Jesus wasn't answering her, and at first he wasn't. He didn't say a word, and she wouldn't quit. She kept crying out. And in fact, Jesus was just testing her faith, and she passed the test. So I just wanted to share that with someone tonight, whoever needed to hear that. I hope that blesses someone. I hope that blesses you. Thank you for watching. God bless.